G'day Pickleball family. First thing to know, as shared on thedinkpickleball.com, Rodney Grubbs, Pickleball's top villain, is back in the news. Rodney Rocket Grubbs, 68, of Brookville, Indiana, was once called the sport's ultimate ambassador. Now he's the sport's biggest villain. Unfortunately, his story is back in the news, this time in a piece published by the Wall Street Journal, or WSJ. New details emerged. There were a few interesting details in the WSJ article worth sharing. We learned that Grubbs originally began his pickleball business, Pickleball Rocks, selling merchandise and paddles out of his trunk. Unfortunately, this soon turned into asking players to invest in his company. Authorities say he began issuing promissory notes to people around the country, claiming they were part of an exclusive group of investors at around $25,000 a pop, promising 12% interest over 18 months. In court filings, Grubbs claims to owe $47.5 million, including interest. That money has vanished. Grubbs has a past of misguiding investors. Bob Zitnick, a 64-year-old engineer from Brookville, and his wife lent Grubbs about $300,000 for real estate deals starting in 2007, well before Pickleball Rocks began. Initially, they managed to recover some of their money, but payments ceased in 2018, leaving them with promissory notes worth over $3 million. You just never think he would do this, Zitnick said. And then you wonder, am I stupid? Grubbs' creditors express regret over being manipulated by someone they trusted. The scandal has ensnared the reigning senior national pickleball champion, numerous retirees, and even a priest. According to court filings, Grubbs owes money to over 500 creditors across more than 30 states and several countries for pickleball and other ventures. Grubbs has not been charged. Apparently, none of this has led to an official charge against Grubbs. Indiana's Secretary of State Securities Division issued a cease and desist order to prevent him from issuing further notes, alleging he violated state securities laws. The investigation is ongoing. Earlier this year, a group of creditors forced Grubb into involuntary bankruptcy after a 2+ hour hearing in federal bankruptcy court in Indianapolis. He closed his Pickleball Rock store and stopped attending tournaments. In court filings, Grubbs claimed assets of $1.6 million. Grubbs maintains that he never issued a loan he didn't intend to repay. Hopefully, this story being covered in the WSJ leads to more exposure for it, and the people he's allegedly scammed are able to recoup what belongs to them. Thanks ever so much for making it this far into the update. Please be sure to hit subscribe and like, comment, and rate on the platform you're watching or listening to it on, so this and future episodes can be found by and shared with other fellow pickleballers. Second thing to know, also shared on thedinkpickleball.com, Ohio residents hope to add pickleball court construction to November ballot. City residents in Upper Arlington, Ohio, are pushing for a November ballot measure that would let voters decide whether more tennis courts should be converted into pickleball courts at Northern Park. To be fair, they aren't saying not to add more pickleball courts. They're pushing to stop losing their tennis courts in the process. The petition specifies that the City Council should take all necessary actions to construct 2 replacement courts at the Northern Complex if suitable real estate becomes available. The petition emerged in response to the Upper Arlington City Council's decision to convert 3 of 12 clay tennis courts into pickleball courts. Those 3 clay tennis courts were converted into 6 new pickleball courts and a new multi-purpose facility. With the recent trends in the skyrocketing growth of the pickleball sport and the rather steady state of tennis, it made sense to convert those 3 over-budget tennis courts into pickleball courts. Upper Arlington City Manager Steve Shoney explained, justifying the conversion. This decision, made by the City Council last fall, was met with mixed reactions from residents, especially tennis players who regularly use the Northern clay courts. Construction on the pickleball courts began in early spring, prompting residents who oppose the development to reconsider their strategy. Upper Arlington resident and avid tennis fan Walt Thiemann led last year's opposition to the courts and is now spearheading petition efforts to get a measure on the November ballot to prevent the construction of more pickleball courts. The petition must gather 2,040 signatures by the end of June to be considered for the November ballot. If successful, the petition will be submitted to the Franklin County Board of Elections, which will verify the signatures to ensure they are valid, meaning they must be from registered voters within Upper Arlington. We want to prevent the loss of more of our beloved courts in the future, should the city decide to transform additional clay courts for pickleball use, Thiemann said. He and others are concerned that the Summer Tennis League, which relies on all 12 courts to accommodate its 29 teams, will be adversely affected. If the signatures are verified and the petition meets all other criteria, the County Board of Elections could approve the petition for the ballot. Thiemann remains optimistic and is committed to ensuring that this debate remains constructive and unifying. There's room for both of us to exist here, he said. There's absolutely no reason for this conflict to become divisive in any way. Third thing to know, as also shared on thedinkpickleball.com, Jack Munro, Mavish Safdar star at the Duper Collegiate Individual National Championships. The Duper Collegiate Individual National Championships, or CINC, took place at the Pickle Lodge in Cincinnati, Ohio last weekend, with bragging rights and scholarship money on the line. The show was stolen by Jack Munro, University of Texas, and Mavish Safdar, University of Indiana, both winning 2 gold medals and $2,000 in scholarships each. Saturday started with mixed doubles, followed by men's and women's singles. The men's and women's doubles events took place on Sunday morning, while the afternoon held all of the semi-finals and finals. Over 30 different schools were represented at the second annual CINC. Women's singles with plenty of high-level competition. Mavish Safdar really dominated the women's singles field. Safdar didn't lose a single game throughout the group play or the playoffs. The Hoosier beat Fiorella Bizzetto, Clemson, 21-12, 21-9 in the rally scoring finals. The Pakistani-American is a PhD student at the University of Indiana and had a great tennis career at the University of Minnesota. Look for her to continue her pickleball career after college, as she has some elite-level passing shots that would quickly translate to the pro game. Men's singles, the showdown of the Jacks. In our preview, we anticipated Jack Foster, University of Florida, and Jack Munro, University of Texas, playing singles against each other. The APP Tour Next Gen national teammates are both very good singles players. However, Munro struggled in group play and barely made the playoffs as the number 7 seed. Munro, coming off 2 men's doubles golds on the APP Tour, was able to beat Foster and made it to the finals, winning 4 of his 6 games in the playoffs by just 2 points. On the other side of the bracket, David Beeger, University of Virginia, didn't have as much trouble, winning by an average of 13 points. In an extremely close match, Munro was able to win the finals 21-19, 21-18, winning himself a singles championship. Mixed doubles, this was by far the most entertaining event of the weekend. Mavish Safdar, Michael Asplund, University of Indiana, barely made it into the playoffs as the number 7 seed, having lost to Utah Tech and University of Wisconsin-Whitewater in group play. In the finals, Safdar and Asplund faced off against Lorelei Singsank and David Beeger, University of Virginia. UVA won the first game rather easily, 21-12. They were then up 20-12 with match point on the line. This is where the drama began. With the rally scoring format and freeze on the serve, Safdar and Asplund mounted a crazy comeback, scoring 8 unanswered points, eventually winning 28-26. In the third and final game, Safdar and Asplund used their momentum from that second game and won 11-8. Women's doubles, the Utah Tech and University of Virginia women's doubles rivalry seems to be a real thing. The two teams have had some really great matches over the past 2 years, each winning championships. Avery Black and Cameron Bliss, Utah Tech University, played Alexandra McDonald and Lorelei Singsack, University of Virginia, in the finals. UTU won handily in the first game, but went down 15-9 in the second game before mounting a comeback. Beck and Bliss then went on a 7-1 streak, winning that second game 22-20. Men's doubles in a match involving the highest combined Duper ratings, Jack Munro and Timmy Manzano, 5.617 average, University of Texas, barely squeaked out a win over Jack Foster and Django Shasang, 5.391 average, University of Florida, in the finals. This also went 3 games, becoming the closest match throughout all of the finals. Munro and Manzano lost the first game 18-21 before winning the second 27-25 and then 12-10 in the third. In that second game, Foster and Shisang had match point on their paddle at 21-20, but Foster missed the serve. Fourth thing to know, as shared on pickleball52.com, Pay picked the Brits at Revolution Cup in Cadiz, Spain. A strong British contingent dominated the podium at last weekend's Revolution Cup in southern Spain, with Pei Chuan Cao the pick of the bunch. Over 350 players from across Europe, Asia and North America descended on Revolution Pickleball Rota, attracted by a prize pool of €15,000 for the 5.0 plus bracket, €600 per player for the winners in each category. Pei went home with 4 gold medals around her neck after starting the weekend by winning the team event without dropping a set, alongside England teammates Thaddeus Locke, James Chowdhury and Lewis Laville. Pei's domination continued in the women's singles as she defeated home favourite Sabri Mendes, last year's European champion, in 3-10 sets. Pei's victory with Lewis in the mixed doubles was an all-English affair as they defeated Thaddeus and James in what proved to be James' only defeat of the tournament. James swept to victory in the men's singles, conquering Lewis just as he did in the recent Franklin Pickleball Premier League final. As Lewis said on Instagram afterwards, James played awesome all day, and despite me playing some of my best singles to date, he was just too good. I'm really happy to have won silver in a stacked European field. James and Lewis were together in the men's doubles and once again claimed the gold with victory over Polish pairing Matus and Bartosz Karbaunik in a win-swept men's doubles final. Paddles up.